Israel, it's me, Red Planet, coming to you once again with another video. This is very useful with TV. I have to use my phone because my computer is not working right. But let's see what he had to say about 3R Atlas. Is it alive or is it a asteroid? Let's see. Or a comet. Let's get into it, Israel.
Welcome back, everyone. You know what's funny, folks? The government, or to be more specific, several congressional committees have been holding UAP hearings and has been bringing in whistleblowers to testify about the existence of UFO technology and, well, we'll just call them alien beings for now. Whether that's extraterrestrials, angels and demons, extra-dimensional beings, interdimensional beings, or non-human entities, they have basically been telling everyone that they're here. Now, I wouldn't say that nobody cares, but it seems that most people don't. You mean to tell me that the government has been acknowledging?
They care because they know that they've been here. But we don't care because they're not coming for us. They're coming for them. And they look like us. They don't look like them. So this is why they care. Because they don't know what their intentions are. And every time they see them, they try to shoot it down. They either disappear, go through a portal, or they shoot their drone down, or rocket down, or missile down, whatever they're trying to shoot at it. Can't destroy it. It just keep coming back.
And revealing the existence of UFO technology that is beyond our comprehension and the possible existence of a non-human presence here in our waters and in our skies, and most people are walking around like, oh yeah, that's nice. You know, I could walk around telling people, hey, you know, the government revealed that aliens are here, right? And people would probably respond with, oh yeah, well, you know, it is what it is. Actually, I forgot all about that. That's probably what the response would be, or something like it, right?
I got all of this for $30. It's an app called Whatnot. Download it right now. You just search.
You know, I'm looking around on social media, and the number of views and attention this is getting is a shame. If some alien decided they wanted to start a YouTube channel, I don't think they would get that many subscribers or views. And with all their advanced technology, they still wouldn't be able to figure out the YouTube algorithm. Generally, it seems that people are so numb, so unfazed, and so uninterested in this disclosure that it looks like the government is going to have to make aliens great again. And the aliens might as well just come on down or come on up. And that is actually what I want to talk about. This non-human presence that is here in combination with what's being observed in the sky headed this way. Now put these two events side by side. A mysterious interstellar body, possibly unlike anything we've studied before, passing through our cosmic backyard, and a government disclosure, not speculation, not rumor, but actual footage of U.S. drones engaging with something that behaves in ways no known aircraft should. Science and government. Two separate stories, and yet both are pointing in the same direction. That humanity might not be alone, and that we're brushing up against phenomena we can't easily explain. And the strangest part is, not many people seem to care. At least for right now. Because according to prophecy, they will. So it seems as though the more they observe this three-eye atlas, the stranger it becomes. So they used the James Webb Space Telescope's spectrograph, and they found that the cloud of gas around three-eye atlas is made mostly of carbon dioxide. Normally, comets from our own solar system show water as the main ingredient once they get close enough to the sun, because a comet is mainly just ice and debris clumped together. But here, the amount of carbon dioxide compared to water is about 8 times higher than usual. 8 to 1, CO2 to H2O, where a normal comet would be something like 1 to 10, CO2 to H2O. That tells us that the chemistry of this object is very different from what we usually see, or that something about its surface layers is keeping water locked up while CO2 escapes more easily. You might see that with a spacecraft if they're trying to vent CO2 emissions coming from the beings inside the craft. One of the other things that they've been doing is they've been taking all the eyes on the skies that they have and have been pointing them at this object. And other space telescopes confirm the same trend. NASA's Sphere-X mission showed a huge cloud of carbon dioxide gas and ice particles around the object. In fact, almost all of the light we see from Three-Eye Atlas seems to come from this dusty, icy cloud, not from a solid core. For a typical comet, the dust and gas tail always streams away from the sun because the solar wind and radiation pressure push material outward. That's why comet tails are like arrows pointing away, no matter what direction the comet is traveling in. But with this object, there is a sunward feature. Basically, it's spitting out material that seems to point toward the sun instead of away. Uber Eats. Way. It's not a classic tail, more like a brightening on the sun-facing side of it. So it's like an anti-tail. Also, the Swift telescope detected signs of water vapor when this thing was far from the sun, where we would normally not expect comets to be so active, because the water should still have been in a frozen state at that distance. And the amount of water released was so large, it was way too big to match the small size estimate for its nucleus. By the way, in the beginning, they were giving us an estimated size, right? Folks, they don't know how big this thing is. And it keeps getting bigger as it gets closer. And this thing is the fastest thing they've seen. It's breaking speed records. Now, folks, here's the part that's very hard to understand because they keep using scientific terminology to explain it. When scientists studied the way light scatters off the dust, that's when things got really crazy for them. Three-Eye Atlas showed a very unusual pattern of polarization. Basically, that's how light waves are twisted when they bounce off particles. That's what they basically mean by polarization. The readings don't match what we've seen in solar system comets or asteroids. That means the grains in the coma have weird shapes or structures that they aren't used to seeing. Let me put it to you this way. It's almost like the object and the light bouncing off of it is responding to the quantum observer effect. In quantum physics, particles like electrons or photons can behave like waves, and they spread out, doing many things at once. But when you observe them, they suddenly collapse into one definite state. So the observer effect is when the very act of watching or measuring something changes what you're trying to observe. Let me explain. When they measure the polarization of scattered light from a comet or asteroid, they're looking at how sunlight bounces off the dust and ice grains. Normally, solar system comets show well-behaved polarization curves. It's like most comets follow the same dance steps with light, and that's why scientists call their polarization well-behaved. This tells you something about the grain size, the porosity, and how refractive it is. But 3i Atlas isn't following those rules. What this means is that the grains in its coma are scattering light in ways we don't expect from standard dust and ice mixtures. Now, they have pointed out that the polarization measurements on 3i Atlas seem to shift slightly depending on viewing geometry and timing, more than they would expect. So it's almost as if the act of observing from different vantage points, looking at this thing from different Earth-based telescopes versus space-based instruments, shows different scattering properties in real time. That doesn't mean this thing knows it's being watched, but the data they are getting is tied to when and how you observe it, which makes the object feel like it's resisting being locked down by one explanation. Crazy, right? So, and the thing is changing color. Now it's green. This thing is so crazy that now people are starting to speculate that maybe it's not a comet or a spaceship. Maybe it's a life form. Which is interesting, folks, because years ago, in a video I did, I mentioned something about massive life forms living out in space. I described them as dragons or worms. But that's a topic for another time. The point is, as this thing moves toward its closest approach to the sun in late October 2025, astronomers are noticing changes almost every week. Gas jets seem stronger on the side facing the sun. The color of the coma has shifted toward a greenish tint, and instead of a sharp tail, it mostly looks like a big fuzzy ball of fine ice and dust. Its composition and brightness change on short time scales, which is why scientists all over the world are watching like they have never watched anything else before. I mean, this thing, they are detecting nickel and even cyanide. Normally, nickel and iron go together. They usually only come separated when humans separate them. In other words, nickel points to unusual metal content, and cyanide points to unusual organic chemistry. And together they make 3i Atlas just plain weird compared to comets.
I don't want to ding on my good credit, so I'm using Experian to find cards with no ding decline. See these?
So let me talk about something else here, and this is where 3i Atlas and the UFO topic come together. if life were a book, then what you would be reading about what's happening now would be similar to a foreshadowing of events to come. For example, there is a prophecy in the book of Revelation about the trumpets. But let me tell it to you like this. At the time the trumpets sound off, there is a picture painted for us. So imagine this. The earth is hit with a massive storm. And in this storm, you have lightning and you have huge chunks of ice falling from the sky. Now, at this particular time, the earth is very unstable, and everything in the heavens or the sky is very unstable. So there are also massive earthquakes and multiple volcanic eruptions happening. So we have this storm, and we have earthquakes and volcanoes erupting. Now, because the sky is also unstable, we have meteors and fireballs entering the atmosphere. Also, the volcanoes are spitting out this ash mixed with iron oxides or chemical contamination, turning water or soil a reddish color. And all of this destroys the grass and some of the trees. While we are trying to get through this storm, a huge iron meteor falls from the sky, burning up from entering the atmosphere, and hits one of our bodies of water. And because of the water and oxygen, you get this rust from the object that turns the water blood red. A lot of marine life is killed, and there are a lot of ships destroyed as well. And then another huge burning meteor falls from the sky and hits the earth. And this time, it contaminates rivers and other bodies of water to the point where people start to get sick from the contaminated water. Now, because of this huge storm and because of all this smoke coming from the volcanoes and massive meteors hitting the earth, it's enough smoke and debris to block out some of the light coming from the sun and the moon and the stars. And then it happens. Another massive meteor falls from the sky and hits the earth. It hits the earth so hard that it creates an opening in the earth. And a swarm of creatures that have been in the earth for a very long time start to come out of that opening. What I'm trying to get at here, folks, is that certain people have been trying to get the information out there that there is something in our oceans. There are beings living or based in our waters. And at the same time, we have multiple threats of objects in the sky headed in our direction. Out of all the objects that have been heading our way and passing by, and a few smaller ones actually hitting us, there have been 3 so far that have been very unique and very strange. And even after 3i Atlas comes and goes, there is a pattern that is forming. And based on that pattern, and based on prophecy, 3i Atlas might be the 3rd, but it is far from being the last. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Stay tuned because there is more to come. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Everyone have a great day, and until next time, stay awake, stay aware, stay safe, and I'll talk to you all soon.